Welcome back. If you've ever wondered what truly defines the success of a clinical trial, beyond protocols, budgets, and timelines, look no further than the role of the investigator. You see, the investigator isn't just another stakeholder in the process. They're the heartbeat of the trial at the site level, the one who brings the science to life, interacts with participants, and ensures the integrity of every data point collected. Whether you're a seasoned principal investigator or just stepping into your first trial, understanding your responsibilities isn't optional, it's essential. In this tutorial, we're going to break down the 5 critical responsibilities that every investigator must master. First, we'll talk about investigator qualifications, what it really means to be qualified, and why your training and credentials must be more than just a checkbox. Then, we'll dive into delegation of duties, how to delegate effectively while still remaining accountable for the conduct of the trial. Next, we'll move into investigational product management, because handling the study drug isn't just logistical, it's a regulatory and ethical responsibility. After that, we'll explore source data verification, how to ensure the data you record is accurate, complete, and aligned with source documents. And finally, we'll discuss safety reporting and protocol compliance, 2 areas where your diligence can directly impact participant protection and trial credibility. By the end of this session, you won't just understand the what behind these responsibilities. You'll understand the why. Because in the world of clinical research, every investigator plays a central role in upholding ethics, ensuring data quality, and ultimately driving scientific progress. So let's get started. As mentioned, the investigator is not just a name on a protocol and not just someone signing the ICF, but the person who carries the ultimate responsibility for the conduct of the study at a given site. Let's start with the foundation, the investigator qualifications. In other words, what makes someone qualified to be an investigator in a clinical trial? According to ICH-GCP, the investigator must be qualified by education, training, and experience to assume responsibility for the proper conduct of the trial. That's more than just holding a medical license. We're talking about real-world capability to understand the protocol, recognize and manage adverse events, obtain informed consent properly, maintain source documentation and trial records, and oversee the study in a way that aligns with ethical and regulatory standards. In many cases, sponsors will ask investigators to provide updated CVs, training certifications, and even GCP certificates before the trial begins. And that's not just bureaucracy, it's assurance. It's about ensuring that the person overseeing participant safety actually knows what they're doing. Also, it's the investigator's responsibility to be familiar with the investigational product. Not just what it does, but how it works, potential side effects, storage conditions, and what to do in case of emergencies. Because at the end of the day, participants are putting their health in your hands, and qualifications, they're not a one-time checkbox. The investigator needs to stay current on the protocol, the science, and the evolving regulatory expectations. Delegation of duties. Now let's address the second major component, delegation. Here's the truth. Investigators can't do everything themselves, and that's perfectly okay. But, and it's a big but, you can delegate tasks, not responsibility. What does that mean? It means if you're the principal investigator, you are still accountable for what happens at your site, even if someone else is helping you do it. Let's break that down. You can delegate duties like drawing blood, entering data into the ECRF, dispensing the investigational product, or scheduling follow-up visits, but every person doing those tasks needs to be appropriately qualified, trained, and documented on the delegation log. That log is not just a formality, it's a living document. Auditors and inspectors will go straight to it to check. Who's doing what? Are they trained? Are they authorized? And did they stick to the scope of their delegation? And here's a real-world scenario that comes up all the time. Let's say a sub-investigator obtains informed consent, but wasn't properly trained on the protocol or GCP. That's not just a protocol deviation, it's a compliance risk, and it lands squarely on the shoulders of the principal investigator. So the golden rule? Delegate wisely, document clearly, supervise consistently. This means regular meetings, oversight of critical procedures, reviewing source documents, and being visible and available at your site, not just for regulators, but for your team, and most importantly, your participants. Now let's get more serious and talk about the investigator responsibilities in the management of investigational products. This is very important because managing an investigational product isn't just about keeping it in a locked cabinet. It's about ensuring the safety of participants, the integrity of the trial, and full compliance with regulations. And yes, it's the investigator's job to make sure it all runs smoothly. So, what is an investigational product? Let's clarify this first. The term investigational product, or IP, refers to the pharmaceutical form of an active ingredient or placebo being tested or used as a reference in a clinical trial. It could be a new drug, a new formulation, or even a new route of administration of a known medicine. Whatever it is, if it's part of the study protocol, then how it's received, stored, dispensed, returned, or destroyed becomes a matter of strict accountability. Responsibility starts with receipt. As the investigator, you are responsible for the IP as soon as it arrives at your site. That means confirming the shipment matches the delivery documentation, inspecting the packaging for damage, temperature deviation, or tampering, recording the receipt in the appropriate logs, notifying the sponsor if anything is off, even if it's minor, and it's not enough to just hand this off to your study coordinator. You, the principal investigator, are accountable. Even if others help you handle the process, you need oversight, documentation, and clear delegation. Storage, not just a fridge. Storing IP isn't just about putting it in a locked cabinet and walking away. You need to make sure the storage conditions match the requirements in the protocol and the investigator's brochure. Temperature ranges, light sensitivity, humidity control, access restrictions. You should be using temperature logs, manual or electronic, and you should regularly review them. If the fridge fails or the power goes out and nobody notices, that's a protocol deviation. Worse, it could compromise patient safety. That's why storage monitoring is not optional. It's critical. Dispensing more than just handing it over. Now, let's talk about dispensing. Dispensing IP to participants is a clinical act. It must be done by qualified personnel and recorded meticulously. Here's what proper IP dispensing involves: verifying participant eligibility and visit window, documenting the lot number, quantity, dose, and instructions, ensuring participants understand how and when to take the product, providing clear contact details in case of questions or side effects. And here's the key: you must keep a complete trail from shipment to final dose to prove compliance and accountability. Auditors and regulators will expect to see chain of custody, dispensing logs, and reconciliation records. Accountability and reconciliation. And then we come to accountability, the process of making sure that every unit of IP is accounted for. At the end of the study, or even during monitoring visits, you'll need to reconcile what was received, what was dispensed, what was returned, what was lost, damaged, or destroyed. If your records don't match, that's a red flag. And regulators won't just blame the study nurse. the responsibility lies with the investigator. That's why real-time documentation is so important. Waiting until the end of the study to figure it all out? That's how errors and audit findings happen. Returns and destruction. Let's say a participant drops out, or IP expires, or the study ends. Then what? Well, any unused IP must be returned to the sponsor or destroyed on site with proper authorization, documentation, and sometimes witnessing again. This isn't just a matter of logistics. It's a matter of regulatory compliance. Improper destruction or failure to return unused IP can result in inspection findings and regulatory action. Security and access control. You should also think about who has access to the IP. According to GCP, storage areas should be secure and restricted. Only authorized staff should handle or dispense the product. A full list of authorized personnel should be documented and updated as needed. If a cleaner, an untrained intern, or a casual visitor could walk in and access the product, that's a breach of security, and in the eyes of regulators, it's on you. Documentation and oversight. Finally, documentation. In IP management, the saying holds true. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. You need shipment records, storage temperature logs, dispensing logs, return destruction forms, IP accountability logs, training logs for staff who handle IP. And as the investigator, you need to review these regularly. Not just sign off at the end of the trial, but actively monitor for trends, deviations, or issues that need attention. So, what does all this mean for you as the investigator? It means that managing the investigational product isn't a side task. It's a core ethical, scientific, and regulatory responsibility. Because at the heart of every clinical trial is a participant who's trusting you, not only with their time, but with their health. And that means you must be absolutely certain that the product they're taking is authentic. It's stored correctly, it's dispensed appropriately, and every unit is tracked, recorded, and verified. That's the standard we're held to in good clinical practice, and it's a standard worth upholding every single time. Now we will move into an area that truly connects the dots between ethics, quality, and compliance in clinical trials. Because beyond informed consent and investigational product management, there are three pillars that investigators must stand firmly on: source data verification, safety reporting protocol compliance. And these aren't just operational checklists, they are non-negotiable responsibilities that protect participants and ensure your trial data is credible, reliable, and inspection ready. Let's start with source data verification, or SDV. What do we mean by that? Source data is the original record, where patient information is first documented. It could be the hospital's electronic medical record, EMR, lab reports, patient diaries, ECG printouts, radiology images, anything where patient data is first recorded. Your responsibility as an investigator: ensure that what gets reported in the case report form, CRF, or the electronic data capture system accurately matches the original source. Because what goes into the CRF is what regulators, sponsors, and data analysts will see. But if what's in the CRF doesn't match what's in the source, then your data is not only questionable, it may be rejected entirely. Now you may have study coordinators and monitors who assist with SDV. That's fine, but the accountability sits with you, the principal investigator. You need to review documentation regularly, ensure corrections are traceable, no whiteouts. Train your staff on documentation standards and be available for queries or clarifications from monitors and auditors. If the data can't be verified, it's as if it never happened. And now, let's move to a critical concept that ties everything together: protocol compliance. Think of the study protocol as the blueprint, the agreement between the sponsor, the regulator, the investigator, and most importantly, the participant. When you signed the investigator agreement, you committed to following the protocol as written, not making unapproved changes, reporting deviations as soon as they occur. Why is this so important? Because every step in the protocol, from eligibility criteria to dosing schedules to visit timelines, is there for a reason. It's scientifically and ethically justified. When a protocol deviation occurs, say a dose is missed or a visit happens too late, it can affect patient safety, data integrity, regulatory compliance. Now, not all deviations are equal. Some are minor and can be explained. Others are major and can put the entire study at risk. Your job is to identify and document deviations immediately. Analyze root causes. Was it human error, system failure, patient issue? Implement corrective and preventive actions, CAPA. And where needed, communicate with the sponsor and IRB-EC. This level of vigilance and transparency is what separates good investigators from great ones. Because being protocol compliant doesn't mean being inflexible. It means being responsible, proactive, and committed to participant safety and scientific integrity. And now, the final and very important responsibility for the investigator, the safety reporting. This is one of your most serious obligations, not only under GCP, but under ethics, legal frameworks, and regulatory law. Participants trust you with their health, and in return, you're expected to actively monitor, document, and report any adverse events that occur during the trial. There are several types of safety events you're responsible for reporting. Adverse events, AEs. Any untoward medical occurrence, whether related to the investigational product or not. Serious adverse events, SAEs. Events that result in death, are life-threatening, require hospitalization, or cause significant disability. Suspected unexpected serious adverse reactions, SUSARs. Unexpected and serious reactions that may be linked to the investigational product. Your obligations include detecting and documenting the event promptly, evaluating causality. Is the event possibly related to the IP? Reporting SAEs to the sponsor within 24 hours, or as per the protocol. Following up with detailed information and resolution status. Why does this matter? Because underreporting or late reporting of SAEs is one of the most common inspection findings by regulatory bodies like the FDA and EMA. Even if your site has a safety officer or study nurse, it's the investigator who signs off and takes responsibility. And remember, regulators don't just look at reported events, they also look at hospital records, lab results, progress notes, and ask, was anything missed? Let's wrap up. As a clinical investigator, your responsibilities aren't just about attending site initiation visits or signing off on case report forms. You are the anchor of the clinical trial at the site. And that comes with 5 key pillars you need to stand on, firmly and consistently. Investigator qualifications. It starts with you. Your medical license, your experience, your training, all of it matters. You must be qualified not just on paper, but in practice. You're expected to stay current, stay competent, and always be ready to lead. Delegation of duties. Yes, you can share the workload, but not the accountability. Every task you delegate, whether to a study coordinator, nurse, or pharmacist, must be clearly documented, monitored, and supported with proper training. Delegation is not abdication. Investigational product management. You're the custodian of the study drug. That means ensuring it's stored properly, dispensed correctly, returned or destroyed as per protocol, and most importantly, used only by the right participants, at the right dose, at the right time. Every tablet, every vial, every shipment, it all matters. Source data verification. What you document is what regulators will believe. If it's not in the source, it doesn't exist. As the investigator, you must ensure that what's recorded in the system matches the original patient data, and that it's accurate, timely, and audit-ready. Safety reporting and protocol compliance. This is where ethics and science meet. Every adverse event must be detected, evaluated, and reported appropriately. And the protocol? It's your blueprint. Stick to it. If something goes wrong, act fast, document it, and make it right. So whether you're managing a team, reviewing labs, dispensing medication, or explaining consent to a participant, you're not just fulfilling a checklist, you're protecting lives. You're building data that others will trust, and you're shaping the credibility of the entire trial. Because in clinical research, good enough is never enough. Excellence is the expectation. And as the investigator, that standard begins and ends with you. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.